welcome to the Wunmi Bello Show. Every episode, I'll be bringing you unfiltered stories from old and new friends who've given me access into their most vulnerable and life-changing moments. Each conversation will take you on a therapeutic journey with laughter and refreshing relatability. I've got the superstar, the legendary. I don't know how to intro you because I'm super gassed for this. I can't lie, I've got Yemi Alade on my sofa. On my sofa, in my home. Hello.
You must tell them that you almost stripped me. You took my shoes, you took my jacket.
No. What's wrong with your shoes? They're cute.
You came for my jacket and my glasses. I'm actually happy taking them off.
No, anything that makes you feel comfortable. To top everything. Do you want any juice?
Apple juice is actually better.
Yeah, let's get apple juice, please.
No. And you almost got me drunk.
And which isn't a bad thing. Which isn't a bad thing, because we're getting in the mood. Because we're about to have honestly, I'm just so excited for this because I think you're such an incredible woman, but also an incredible artist. Listen, anyway, you're not even ready for me, so I hope you're ready because I don't think you're ready for me. One thing that has been so interesting for me over the last couple of days is listening to your single, your recent song Ukrainian, that I'm obsessed with.
No way.
No, sis. I'm obsessed with it. I've been playing it. I've been playing that song religiously. And also one thing I've noticed about that song is that it kind of, and you can correct me here, but it does sound a little bit different to a lot of the sounds that I've heard from you. Would you say so?
Yes, it was on purpose.
Ooh,
that was the plan. That was the plan.
Okay, talk to me about that because I was wait. So I went back and I was listening to songs after songs after songs after songs, from songs from Empress album, from songs of Women of Steel album, from just a lot of your songs. And I was this sounds very different. So talk to me about where the inspiration for this song came from. And also the great thing about this song is there feels to be a really strong appreciation of men in love in this song in a way that I've not heard you almost speak about before.
Yeah, I agree.
Talk to me about it.
So, in terms of the song itself, my man being kind of different, the feel of the song, the vibe of the song, it was something that I wanted to do because I wanted to mix something old, something new, something borrowed. I wanted the high life, which is what I'm known for the most. I wanted the high life to stay, but then I wanted some of the newness that's going on these days in music. I wanted some of the mid-tempo. I didn't want the beat to be so busy. I wanted the beats to ride on my melodies, what I was singing, and that's how this song came about. In terms of the inspiration, I decided that I wanted to write the song as realistic as possible through the eyes of, an African woman. Not a lot of the guys that, myself and a lot of females are into have six packs. So I decided to start the first two lines with that point, just trying to be truthful about the things I think a real woman in the real world would want for her man.
And what does that look like for you specifically? What does, not just the average woman in the real world, but what does that look like for Yemi Alade? What does that look like for you? A real man, the kind of man that you desire?
There's a lot of madness going on in the world these days, and social media isn't making it very simple as such.
don't get me started.
It's making things harder.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely someone who's kind. It goes beyond the physical, although the physical is definitely part of it. Because that's what gets you attracted in the first place. Hello. But also someone who is supportive of my career because that is something that's very dear to me. And unfortunately, I know of a lot of women who are in relationships where at the point that they start to get serious, the man doesn't want them to continue with their career, etc. And so those are things that I definitely tick off my box. And of course, being, a believer of God, someone that believes in God because, spirituality is a big deal for me as well.
I want to kind of go back a little bit. I want to strip the mask. I want to strip everything and kind of go back to Yemi as a child. I know that, your dad was a police officer and your mum was like a Igbo woman and your dad was like Yoruba man.
Yeah.
So growing up in that kind of household, what was Yemi like? What was her energy like? What did she do? What was fun for her? What was life like for her?
So you already said it. My dad was a policeman, so he was very strict. He never allowed me to attend any parties. I mean, any parties. So life for me as a kid at that point in time, so we lived in this very big house that had several living rooms. So I had this particular living room that nobody really cared for. So it just had furniture everywhere, and I would take all my dolls in there. I would make up stories with them. I'll serve them tea. I'll make food for them. Yo,
I love that.
Look, the minute I walk in through that place, I'm in my own world. I'll be there till it's night time, and it's time for food, or I want to get a cartoon break. But that was pretty much what it was like for me when I was way younger. In terms of obviously being in the house with my mom, my dad. My mom was the outgoing one. She was the life of the party. She's the one that would invite people to the house and make sure that there's food and wine flowing, whereas my dad would rather just stay in the house and have nobody there. I think that sort of rubbed off on me because I go cold and hot at the same time. I'm cold from my dad and hot from my mom. But I would say I definitely enjoyed the culture, the food, the lifestyle. Because, Yoruba and Igbo, they're two different cultures entirely. We got to live in those two different cultures. And I would say I really enjoyed it. But even yet as a kid, because my dad wouldn't let me go for parties, which would mean I didn't really have a lot of friends, I would make sure that I was into a lot of social activities in school. So I was part of the Jet Club, part of the ballet club. I was in the ballet club. I was in the music club. I was everywhere at the same time. My deal with my mom and dad was, okay, we hear that you're all over the place in school, but you have to make sure that when you're coming back to this house, your grades are top. So come home with good grades. And as long as that was the deal, easy peasy. I continued to stay everywhere.
I had a conversation not too long ago, and I want to bring this on your table, where I was discussing that a lot of the time when it comes to our perception of love and how we view love is a lot of it stems from like what we were like, or what we experienced, or what we saw from our parents or those around us.
Yeah.
When it comes to love and how they see love around themselves, or how they show love to each other. Yeah. So for you, when it comes to love, when it comes to love, and also when it comes to your parents or those around you, when was your first interaction of like kind of understanding or like building your own perception of love?
My first impression of love definitely came from those silly storybooks and cartoons of happily ever after.
Yeah.
God, I don't think my daughters will read any of those happily ever after books because it's not true.
You don't think so?
No, I don't believe in happily. What is happily ever after?
You don't believe in happily ever after?
Hold up, sis. Wait.
Don't crush me, girl, because you got a princess over here. Don't crush me.
Okay.
So what do you believe in if not that?
No, I feel like that sentence is just full of a lot of false hope.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Is it really happily ever after? It's not really happily ever after. It doesn't start with Prince Charming and then end up with happily. There's so much in between.
Yeah.
So much in between that is left out of all the stories, left out of all the cartoons. It's incomplete. Okay, what happens to when there's an argument? What happens to when we don't agree? What happens to if I'm just in a bad mood just because I'm in a bad mood? Yeah. What happens to that time of the month when I might be a little... What happens to all that? So you just be telling me happily. It's not happily ever after. The term is just a bit too much because it's over-exaggerated. You would expect that in a not so realistic world, but in reality, I feel that's just too much. There are other ways to tell a story than just telling one side.
So if you don't believe in happily ever after, because I guess a happily ever after doesn't even need to be specific to like the arguments or like whatever. It's like the happily ever after could just be like I found my person, which is how I see it as. So what is your take on that? The fact that for me, it's not about necessarily like, oh, like we might argue or like we might this, but it's the fact that at least happily ever after, I found my person in this crazy world. What is your take on that?
I get you when you say it that way. Yeah. I get you. I was just describing the idea of happily ever after. If I go back several years to the way younger Yemi Alade, and the idea of what a relationship would be like when I eventually get into one based off the books I've read and the cartoons I've watched. Rapunzel was in trouble. Prince Charming came and saved her. He fought everything, broke everything. She let down her hair. Whether he climbed up or she climbed down, I can't remember. I think he climbed up over with her hair, using her hair as a rope or whatever it is. Then there was that, and then there was Snow White, etc. Yes, what I could see every time is like the prince was the one encountering issues. And his struggle was always that there were challenges coming his way as he was trying to just reach her. The struggles were never between two of them. I've seen my mom and dad fight. They still had us and had other. They still had me and had other babies still, you know. And that is the reality. They're through thick and thin. I think Cinderella and her prince, two of them should have had issues in the cartoons. They should have fought and they should have told us how to resolve conflicts. That's what I feel. Like, that would be more realistic, but I know who wants to watch that?
True, facts. But do you think that there's almost, with a lot of these, like, you know, childhood like, books and stories that we read, because, listen, girl, Cinderella was my babe, that was my sister. But do you think that with a lot of these cartoons that they omitted a lot of things that were more so based on, like, real life, that almost kind of didn't prepare her for what love looked like, or also just what reality looks like?
Exactly, on point. They omitted so much that did not prepare little girls. We spent so many years reading the books only to get disappointed in real life. Oh,
boring
much.
Let's go to something that's not so boring and something that's like really interesting, because you had your breakout, and listen, I've done my research, right? You were talking to a research babe right now, okay? Right. So you had your breakout single, Johnny, which was such an incredible time. Just I remember just like watching you kind of bask in that and just thinking, damn, this is some real like global engagement. This isn't some like, it wasn't isolated to like our Nigerian community or anything of such. It was like everywhere. It was being spoken about. And prior to you know, bringing out that single, I know that you were releasing other stuff before that was more so like in the R&B sound, right? So my question is, you go from like, you know, releasing songs after songs after songs after songs in that R&B realm. How did you find yourself in a realm that was so different in that high life, you know, high energy sound like Johnny? How did you find yourself there?
You do not lie. You do your research, and you have you do your research. It's a good thing that you mentioned that I was more into R&B, because as far as I know, I thought I would be a soul singer. I thought eventually when I come into this world of music as a career, I would be a soul singer. I would stand on the stage and have a keyboardist play while I just hold onto my mic and hit the notes and the flats beautifully, you know, musically right, not off-keys flats, you know. But eventually, what I did after I won the talent show was that, because I was trying to discover what kind of artist I would eventually be, my rule was to never be put in a box. So I would try every and any genre. There was no instrumental that I would say, I can't do. Even if it were rap, I would attempt it. And so eventually, after trying all these genres, both the ones I was familiar with and those I wasn't familiar with, eventually High Life came my way.
Ooh, but wait. Because we can't go all the way there. How did High Life come your way? What was the moment? Take me to the exact moment when High Life came your way.
Wow. High Life. How did it come my way? It's crazy. So I was promoting a song called Birthday. Yeah. Birthday song, I think? Yes, Birthday song. And it had more. You know Burna Boy's, what's the song? Baby, they go ahead and like the party and lose somebody. Yeah. The way the beat is heavy.
Yeah. Aggressive.
Exactly. That's kind of like how the beat is for birthday songs. Yeah. So imagine where it is. Yeah, that's the genre. Yeah. Voila. So as I'm promoting this song, I'm actually going from state to state, trying to promote the song, and I'm giving out cakes as I go. Yeah. Myself and my manager, we decided to go into the studio as we traveled. Because we had heard about this guy called Sele Bobo. Yeah. A producer. Sele Bobo. That's it. That's the one. And he was in Enugu at the moment. Yeah. And somewhere along the tour, we were going to stop in Enugu. In fact, Enugu was going to be the last place we got to. But before we even got to Enugu, we were in Abuja. And while I was doing this radio interview, the interviewer, his name is Boz, Chinedu Boz, he asked me, he said, why is it that you females, when you guys write love songs, you don't mention any guy's name? Whereas the guys are always mentioning girls. Caro, this. I'm like, okay, I'll take that to church. And so the next day from Abuja, we go to Enugu. We meet Sele Bobo. The studio is...
Which is when you say Sele Bobo. Yeah, okay.
The studio is just this small right here.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make the instrumentation and things, and I'm humming some melodies, and I fall asleep in the booth. And next thing I'm singing High Life. That's how High Life happened to me.
That is amazing.
My first proper attempt at High Life was actually one of my biggest successes. And it was about a true life story, heartbreak. You know, Johnny and all the cheating.
Yeah, because they do, you know what I mean?
Voila.
So now, okay, so you've now transitioned from, obviously you've won the talent show, I think it was, is it Peak?
Yeah, Peak Talent
Show. So you've won the talent show and now you've created this song, Johnny, which has been a massive... Because the thing is, let's get real here. Because the thing is, we can't downplay the success that Johnny had.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. As in, everywhere. And I can't fathom just how much of an effect that must have had on an individual who's never had that kind of success before. And I don't think that's something that people speak about enough, because it must have been a complete almost like a complete alteration of like character, and not necessarily character, but just alteration of life. So how was it? Take me back to the moment where it started to take off and you started to feel the changes in your life, in your circumstance, in your situation. How did you feel? How did you adapt? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, so like... Wow. So when... This is the crazy part. And we never released Johnny. Johnny was leaked. It's a song. Yeah, it was leaked. There was never an official release.
Oh, damn.
It just found its way into
Almost like
the streets. Yeah, like it was faith. It was just God had destined this and it had to happen. And the first time that I realized this song was mad, it started making waves in the East. Like the song literally traveled back to the East, Enugu, where we recorded the song, and started making waves. We were getting calls, the song is mad, oh. They're playing this song here. Oh. From Enugu, it went to Calabar. From that place, it started going towards Ibadan. Eventually, it hit Lagos. The minute it hit Lagos, it went mad. From Lagos, it started going to the neighboring countries. Yeah. And that is when my life changed for real. Like, for real. It took me from zero to hero. Yeah. And till date, like, Johnny is about 145 million views right now and still counting.
Crazy, right? Yeah. But, okay, so your life started to change. Talk to me about that, what that feeling of, like, complete life change feels like, because the thing is, right, you have so many kids, especially with like what social media is like right now, where you have TikTok, you have Instagram, and so many people are like feeding for that for that fame. Being someone who actually experienced a level, or who is still experiencing the level of what fame can take you and how fame can change your life. Talk to me about like the mental implication of what that fame feels like, but just every aspect of I genuinely like, I'm like, what does that fame, or what does that life altering moment feel like?
Yo, I lost a lot of friends. Not like I had many anyways, but like I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of supports that were in my, not exactly my inner circle, but like close to my inner circle, people that would always support me. I lost that. And then I lost my freedom to really walk around, just be an ordinary girl, you know, just once in a while go out and smell the air, you know, without any thought of, oh, I might get mobbed or whatever it is. I lost that. When I say I lost friends, it's crazy, because before the success of Johnny, I had some friends who were close to me, who would show me support, you know, we're moving at this together. And then when this blinding effect of Johnny started to happen, they wouldn't show up anymore. Sometimes I would hear that they were saying amongst themselves that I had changed, that I had become full of myself, and I would play back the conversations I had with them that had led to them going around to go and say such things.
Yeah.
And I invested my time into reading. So I started reading interviews on other superstars, especially the one that really stuck was Kendrick Lamar's interview. I can't remember what magazine that was.
Yeah.
And then he said that, the one thing he said is that people always say that when someone becomes famous, they change. Whereas the truth is, it's not them that change. It's the people around them that change because they feel that in order for them to match up with who they think you are becoming, they need to change, or else they would become lesser people to you. So they do all the maths, they go ahead of you into the future that doesn't exist yet and create scenarios that never happen. Whereas that's not why you have them in your life. So I lost my dearest friend. It's not like she ever exactly told me, but I could see in actions that she wasn't there for me anymore. She didn't want to be with me. It probably made her feel a kind of way. Even when I saw her, taking the back seats, most of the times I would try to reach out. But then I started realizing that the person that was my closest friend wasn't there anymore. She was someone else.
You said she was someone else, right? And you didn't say she was somewhere else. And friendships and relationships is one of those things for me is like nothing matters more than in terms of the things that bring us the most joy.
Yeah.
It's our relationships, it's our connection to individuals around us. So I can only imagine just how traumatizing and how exhausting and how sad that experience must have been for you. And for me to ask you something that, I said, oh, Johnny, your biggest song, your song that made the biggest impact in your life. How did that change you? And your first statement was, I lost my relationships. How did you navigate through that? Because I know me, listen, I care a lot about friendships and relationships around me. So how did you navigate through that? And how did you not allow that to affect how you see yourself and make you question yourself?
Oh, that's the thing. Thankfully, I'm kind of person that likes to read. I like to read because, that way I'm able to learn more stuff without getting judged. Because most times when you have a problem and you go and tell, let's say, Mr. A. So, Mr. A, I'm having this issue. Mr. A has judged you. So, so you have this problem. So this is what you think. This is how you... So you're going to get judged sometimes. But when you read, when I end up reading, I don't have anybody to judge me. I get the information that I need. I do the judgment myself. I'm okay with doing that myself than having someone else judge me based on the fact that, they know my shit, pretty much. So, reading that magazine really, really made me understand what was going on. And I, more than be upset at the fact that I'd lost a friend, I felt sorry for her, because she doesn't know what she's doing. She thinks she's moving in the right direction by moving far from me. Whereas I've always thought that if we sort of like walked towards this together and this is big things are beginning to pop for me, that means it's popping for us. It's like being in a relationship alone. She left the relationship. That's really what it is.
A relationship that has so much potential to become so united. And so Johnny was a while ago, right? And what is the circumstance of that relationship now, or like how you view that relationship now?
I'm not really interested anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested anymore because I saw on several occasions, because this is a dear friend of mine, on several occasions I try to keep up with the conversations, I try to call, I try to send messages despite the fact that I'm in different parts of the world. And even when I meet her up, like when I'm in Lagos and I still meet her up, it's not the same person that I was chilling. I used to chill with, same person I used to eat Unilag suya with.
Yeah, just be you.
Yeah. She's not the same person. She's left the room. She's left the group chat. I don't know who this is. And I can't do that. Vibe check.
And like, just in terms of vibe check, because that, for me, listen, friendship, relationships, people change. And I'm so happy, like, honestly, I'm going off track here, but I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because that is one thing that I think celebrities and people who've hit a certain ceiling when it comes to their career and like success that they've been able to like attain don't talk about enough. It's the way people around you change, and it's not even a matter of like a change that you want in them or a change that is happening in you. It's a change that comes from like an insecurity or a way that they perceive you that you can't control. So if you are going to send a message out there to people who are inevitably going to experience something that you experience when it comes to friendship, when it comes to people changing around you because of the grace or like the life that you've been ordained to live and the success that you've been ordained to have, because these things are written no matter what would you say to them from the experience that you've been able to get?
To the person experiencing the change or the people around that person?
I think both, because I think you have a lot to say about both. So go for whichever one you want to go for.
I would say for the person who is experiencing the change, the person whose life has probably moved on to another, has probably appreciated a little more, I would say don't forget that actions speak louder than words. No matter how close you are to someone, no matter how much you love a person, it's actions over words. You know, so when the actions are not clicking, trust me, it's not clicking either. And then for the people experiencing or on the journey with the person whose life is sort of like changing or appreciating or appreciating, I would say that if you can't stand the heat, leave the kitchen, it's fine. You see this thing called fame, it's not for everybody, yo. You're asking me a lot of questions about the mental, etc. It's not for everybody. If you can't stand the heat, please, leave the kitchen.
Is it for you?
No, for those, like, for instance, if
as a friend outside.
As a friend outside.
Yeah.
If you can't stand what's happening, the change is too much for you.
I understand.
If it's suddenly too sudden, if it just shakes you, doesn't make you feel stable, doesn't make you feel like who you used to be, take a break. Go somewhere else. It's fine. Don't be playing like this. It's actually okay. Yeah. Life will continue.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Okay, so the other day, I was really sad because you had a show in London and I wasn't able to be there because my show was running late. Anyway, but I saw social media going absolutely crazy. I had, one of my best friends was at the show, and so I'm watching her story and I'm like, where is all this energy coming from? Like, there's a certain, and I really want to get like deep into this because I think it's important. There was like a certain energy that you were just like emitting when you were performing that I was like, what is that? Like, who is that? But it wasn't just on her platform. It was on everybody's story that I was watching. And you did repost a lot of them because it was back to back. It was like everybody who was in that room that night was like, whoa. I might not have been a massive fan before, but who the hell is this woman? How do you feel when you see those kind of comments about yourself, or like just kind of basking that kind of thing in?
I definitely do feel appreciated when the impact I hope to have actually happens. Because I put in a lot of work into rehearsing my band, rehearsing my dancers, and then to eventually, for instance, the gig you're talking about. I literally flew in a day before the show. The minute I landed at Heathrow, I went straight to band rehearsals. I wasn't done till Lord knows what time at night. And then the next day is the event. You know, so when you combine all of that, and I was coming off a show in Nigeria before I went to the airport. So you can imagine the madness. But the thing is that I try my best to always sort of like stay prepared. Also, shout out to my team in London that held it down for me and made sure that my band had even rehearsed the day before the day I came in, you know. So when I see that people actually get the vibe and get the feeling, it makes me feel like my job is done. You know, it makes me feel like all my effort isn't wasted. So I'm thankful for that.
Honestly, I'm only on like quarter way through like the things that I want to talk to you about, and I'm just so you're very special. Like you're such a special human being, not just as a performer, just like as a person. And the reason I say that is like I've spent the last couple of days really taking in a lot of the things that you've said, a lot of the things that you feel about the world, a lot of things that you feel about yourself. And I know that, you know, you are someone who is very thought-led. You lead with thoughts first before action. Yeah. A lot of us as humans, naturally, we lead with action. Now, I want to know, when it comes to action, when it comes to actionalizing things, how connected are you with the performer that lands on stage as Yemi Alade? Or is that a persona that you create to ensure that, you know, the audience actually feel what you're trying to create for them?
I think it's a mix of both. Because I definitely switch off. I definitely switch off the smaller me and turn on the big one. Yeah. So there's the Yemi with the lowercase, the small letters, and then the Yemi with the capital case. The capital uppercase Yemi is the one on stage. For real. I'm not holding anything back. I'm putting it all out. I'm saying my most silly thoughts. Look, I say everything. Sometimes I say, you guys won't tell me to keep quiet, right? Okay, I'll continue. Beautiful. And then when I'm off stage, I'm back to Yemi Alade with all the lower cases. I'm chilled, not stressing, not worried about nothing, you know. But I do switch that on. I do realize that when it's showtime, it's literally like action time, go time. Like I'm laying all my cards on the table, and what's important to me is to literally have fun, because I cannot, if I want people to come there to have fun, I must give what I want to take. So I must give out that energy of fun to be able to receive that in return. So I feel like I'm always performing with my people rather than just only me performing.
You've said before that you're quite a shy person, but the person who like comes on stage
is not,
baby,
right?
That lady ain't shy. I don't know who that lady is.
Yeah, neither do I.
Well, in what moment, or like when does that switch happen? From that woman who is like shy, introverted, to that woman who is now like a beast.
The beast comes on immediately I hear my name. Immediately I'm introduced. Yemi Alade, boom. You know when you watch those movies that the eyes roll to the back, boom? That's what it feels like. It feels like I hear nothing, I see nothing, I know nothing. I just, you know. But then as the performance goes on, I start to lock eyes with certain people in the audience, you know, and, you know, do my thing.
That's amazing. And I feel like people who are really passionate about their craft and people who are really passionate about what it is they do, it's that moment, it's that instant switch, which makes me bring this conversation kind of back to someone I know who you love, Beyonce. You were on the Gift album, which is like such a monumental moment in your career.
Yes.
Walk me through that, the moment where I know that you obviously, okay, just for anybody who doesn't know, so Yemi Alade was on the Gift album, which is a massive deal. Don't get twisted, because
Because
and
Beyonce.
it's Beyonce. Do you know what I mean? It's Beyonce, which is a massive deal. But beyond that is also the fact that whenever I've seen any other conversation that you've had, when you speak about Beyonce, it's there's a way that you speak about her. Like you really appreciate the craft that she's been able to do. And in a lot of the things that you've done also, especially when it comes to your performances, you don't play games, right?
At all.
So in that moment where you had lost, also for just more context, like, so Yemi Alade had lost her voice when, right before she had got that call for to be on that album, you lost your voice, you couldn't speak, you couldn't talk, and you started drinking all these things to ensure that you got your voice back, right? What does it feel like to be at a point where you're seeing something that you've always craved or always desired right in front of you, almost being slipped away by something that's out of your control, out of your circumstance, out of your control? What does that feel like?
You know that saying that we always say in Nigeria, that my village people laughed at me. I felt like my village people were running marathons from Nigeria to
They said, hello.
Yeah, hello, we have appointment.
Gotta go.
Cancel the session. She has no voice. Take it. Lord. No, I was weak. So I was actually kind of like on tour. I had a gig in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was easy for me to connect to Los Angeles, which is where the studio and her office is. And we land in Los Angeles. We go straight to the office, just, speak with the management, get an idea of what we're here to do, blah, 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 rub minds. I go back to my apartment and I wake up with no voice. I can't talk. I can't sing. And I flew all the way to dear Los Angeles. You know that place now with the time zone and everything? Oh, Jesus. You don't want to go to Los Angeles sometimes.
It's not a joke.
With no voice and nothing. So I just start to wrap my throat with the scarf. I drink hot teas. I take all the juices I could get. I went to the pharmacy. I was taking like 4 or 5 things at the same time. I canceled the first, because I was only in Los Angeles for 3 days because I had other engagements in other cities. Or was I leaving the country entirely to go somewhere else? Yes, either one. So, day 2, no voice. Obviously, me no sing, me no talk, me no go anywhere. I am useless. I'm officially useless. And all I did was shake my head all day. It was, look, if there were a head shaking contest, I won that day. Woo! I shook my head all day, and then the next day I noticed that I could speak, but not exactly sing. So I said, you know what? This is the last day I have in Los Angeles. Whether they like it or not, I'm going to that studio. Let's see what I can, produce.
Yeah.
And then I went, and I wasn't able to hit the keys that I really wanted to. So everything was on a, kind of mid and low range. But I just told myself, the thing I told myself was, I'm here now, and I must leave a mark. So I will do everything that I can. And eventually, the idea would be that when they speak of me, they know that I put in my best. And that's exactly what I did. I jumped on about 2 or 3 songs. And 2 songs were picked, and the 2 songs made the album. And that definitely made my heart jump. As much as I didn't exactly do the things I really wanted to do because I did not have the capacity to, since I didn't have a voice as such. But I think all that I had was enough.
And I love that. And I love that like you've kind of come to like a full acceptance of that, because it was more than enough. Because the global interaction with the song that you and Beyonce.
And we going to the bank though, Don't forget that part.
Period.
Still going to the bank as we speak.
It's incredible. And working with an artist like Beyonce, who's always been someone that, I know that you've always loved and always appreciated, her performances and her, just the overall artistry. Did that kind of feel like a defining moment in your career that like, wow, I am in the right direction here?
100%. Like, look.
Not the hee.
Yo. Beyonce, no, I'm crazy about her.
Yeah.
So like, even while I was trying to audition for the talent show that I did in 2009, prior to that period, I had a habit of every time I woke up in my hostel and my lectures were for later in the day. In the morning times, I'll be in my sleepwear, and I'll pick up my the remote control for the TV.
Yeah.
I walk towards the mirror and I'll be singing all the Beyonce songs, and I'm in heels, trust you. Like, don't forget that part.
As you should, don't get it twisted.
And I bought all her tour DVDs. I would watch her perform on tour, her costumes, the way she interacted with the audience. I literally studied that woman, and to see eventually that even as much as I loved her, I eventually got to do a collaboration with her where she actually features me, and where I got to meet her in person and just bask in her in her love and respect for the originality that the artists on the albums had. Yeah. Because we stood tall in our Africanness.
Yeah.
And it was the Africanness and originality that actually brought her to us. Yeah. That actually became the bridge that linked us both. And it's just a beautiful time to be alive. It sure is.
So much. Honestly, I think it speaks volumes for, young girls who have these like high dreams, high hopes. And they sit in their bedrooms and they're like, one day it's gonna happen. And it's like, one day it happened.
Yes.
And it was real. I want to kind of change the pace of the conversation and move to something that I find very important, because the thing about your artistry is that you're very intentional with what you do, with a lot of things that you do. A lot of your album names, from what I've found, have so much meaning, and the meaning aren't subtle. They're not a joke. We have Women of Steel, Woman of Steel, which for you, from what I know, was very much about you creating a certain version of yourself, that you were finally able to identify yourself as a woman of steel after seeking for that validation, or like almost that like woman of steel in other places. It's like, no. This is the time for me to be and omit the woman of steel. And also with Empress, I'm not going to even say the meaning of Empress, but let's kind of touch on the meaning of a woman of steel. Where were you in your journey that led you to feeling like you needed to embody that meaning of I am the woman of steel?
Wow. Woman of steel. To cut the long story short, I would say I was at a point in my career where I was doing all the right things. Yeah. And my team was doing all the right things. But there was a sudden surge of hate that I didn't understand. The criticism was skyrocketing. And they weren't stopping. And I was wondering, this is becoming even more personal. Okay, yes, you don't like this, you don't like that. But this is becoming personal, and this is unending. It has become a day job for you people, even a night job. And it's become so much. It's beginning to distract me. At some point, it was beginning to make me doubt some things that I shouldn't doubt. And it became a thing of concern. The minute that started to happen, it became a thing of concern to me. And when I looked to the left and looked to the right, I just told myself, Yemi, it's either you're in or you're out. Too. And if I'm going to be in, that alligator skin that I need to grow, that I need to be wearing, that I wear and take off, now I need to stitch it to my skin. It has to be on 24/7, bulletproof, nonsense. So and I asked myself, who exactly are you? What is true and what is false? To be sincere, there's a part of the Bible that actually says the things that are beautiful, the things that are true, the things that are nice, the things that are virtuous, the things that have value. It goes on and on, the things that are just. Those are the things you should think on. So now when I ask myself, what is true? This boulder dash I'm hearing, is it true? No. So why am I worried by it? Yeah. So I picked the truth. I picked all the things that I thought related to me, and I stitched it into an armor. And I just fought the head. Don't get me wrong, sometimes the armor becomes so heavy, I want to take it off. But I try my best to remember to wear it back on. And that is why the woman of steel, because I believe it comes a time in every woman's life that we need to become our own superhero, where nobody will be there to cheer us on and remind us of who we are. And so that's why Woman of Steel, because I'm also trying to let people know that it's going to take a whole lot to get me down.
Yeah. And also that's the reality though, because this idea of like becoming the best version of yourself, becoming this strong woman, a lot of people have it misunderstood that like it's like an overnight thing. And I can feel from just where the trajectory of this conversation that for you it wasn't an overnight thing. Like constantly being told that this is wrong and and I know how the Nigerian audience can get, say Father Lord God. So I can imagine that with that in mind, that you had to almost go really deep within to really find and really answer that question of who am I? So talk me through and I'm really pleading with you here when I ask this question of like, really talk me through what are the stages of really like finding out who you are and like being able to hold on to that, because the thing is life moves so much.
Yeah.
And like with live moving so much, it can make you forget that like answer that you got. So how are you able to hold on and say, all right, I've grasped the concept of who I am, how I'm gonna hold on to this, I'm gonna run with this?
I would say you definitely, when you get the idea, when you get the concept and you hold on to it, you must also have people around you that believe the exact same thing. So sometimes when your hand is heavy, pass it them to hold on to it for you. So they are constantly also reminding you of who you are. You know that God as well, according to the Bible. I will say Bible today.
As you should.
Somewhere in the Bible, there's actually a place that says that the angels are there reminding God who he is every day, saying, you are God, you reign on high. You are God, you reign on high. And I'm wondering, why do they need to remind God, the original God? That is God. And I remember, that's so human being be too. That's how human beings are. Sometimes we forget the amount of ranks that are on our shoulders. We forget how highly placed we are. And we allow circumstances to make us feel less than we are. We allow just one comment change our entire day. Change the vibe of our entire day. We allow just one feeling of uncertainty make us doubt everything we ever worked for, So we always need to, I would say that when you grasp the idea of who you are, you need to protect it at all costs. And anybody that doesn't get it, doesn't deserve to be in your vicinity. Like, I always say, look, my ear is golden. If I ever come to you and we have a conversation and you decide to put chatter in my ears,
you gotta go.
Look, you are going, my
please.
ears are valuable, please. Don't put sand in my ears, please.
Yeah. You seem to be very strong in terms of the fundamentals and the values that you've kind of...
I'm not very strong, I didn't mess up.
No.
I didn't mess up.
Obviously, of course, as humans, we all have our flaws and we aren't all strong constantly, but
yes.
we cannot lie here. There's definitely, I feel like you've had some moments where you've sat down in that corner on your bed or on your seat when you said hello, okay, so where you said okay, hello, so like level up,
yes,
figure it out, and
yes.
you've really reinstated some values, some core values in yourself. So walk me through that, because like we said earlier, like it's easy for that shift to happen. And you said that, for you, it's definitely like the people that you have around you. But even with the people that you have around you, people can go against you so easily. So how do you, just on like an individual basis, how do you like ensure that you have that strong commitment to yourself to ensure that you constantly kind of stay on that high pedestal that you've set yourself on?
That is a difficult job, man.
Don't listen. Before I start crying in this interview.
It's a difficult job, man.
It's not easy.
It's a difficult job. Constantly, I wouldn't say high horse because, they made high horse to look like a bad thing. But to constantly remember, I would say some mental boundaries. There are some boundaries that I put in place for myself. I only go where the love is. I only go where I'm invited. I think with those two things in place, there's already a natural sieve for the rubbish to be outside. I don't get to, play with the pigs, so to say. But still, some people invite you so they can insult you. So you gotta know when to leave.
Why do you think that? Because that's really interesting. You should only go where the love is, realistically.
Yes.
But why do you think that so many of us, because the vast majority of us go outside of where the love is, why do you think we have such an interest
long
in please where...
Long throat.
Excuse me?
It's long throat. You're not content with the one that's in front of you. Focus on your focus. It's long throat. The end. It is. All of us, we have it. So I post something on Instagram. I have 2,000 comments. Only one comment, someone is saying, Yemi, your head is not correct. That's the one I want to focus on. Whereas the 1,999 comments and say, that's my girl, I love it, fire emoji, fire. Just that one that says, Yemi, your head is not correct. I want to go and dwell on that. And I'll be thinking of how I can make that one to say a good thing. Am I not? It's long throat now. So I think to properly answer your question, in order to curb long throat, it's long throats. In order to curb long throats, the way forward is if it's not broken, don't fix it. This is your audience and it's working for you. Feed them till they become gluttons, till they're tired.
Yeah.
You know, instead of abandoning people that love you to go and find love with people that don't even care if you see the next day.
I don't disagree with you at all. How do you... Because in this industry where you have so many people criticizing or giving their opinion, one thing I've always appreciated about you is that you've always just been Yemi Alade. There's not ever been Yemi Ijagaboku. This is me making up a surname. You've never really altered, you know, who you are in terms of what you look like, what you wear, how you wear your hair. You've always stood very firmly in Yemi. So for me, it's a question of, and throughout our conversation today, I definitely feel like it's an evolution thing, but how have you allowed yourself to really remain yourself without allowing this industry that heavily criticizes you to change who you are, adapt who you are, to meet a standard set, a quo? Like, how do you not allow that to affect you?
I think, wow. The industry will always try to change you. The industry will always tell you, oh, yes, you look like A. Yes, you're wearing a white dress, but you could be wearing a black dress, you know? The industry always has ideas. But the thing that I do for myself is that, it's like, I like what you said, that you can see that it seems as if I put in thought before I actually put in action. And that's what happens when the industry is trying to play its tricks on me. I would, first of all, ask myself, how possible is it for me to sustain this new Yemi that they're requesting? Wouldn't they see through my BS that I'm just putting up this thing? But I will tell you, in the very beginning, I promised myself that I will be original. Here's what happened. So I needed a stage name. And I had names like Ginger. Yeah. I had names like Electra. What's the other name? Can't remember. But those were the top two names that were contending for, that I was considering for my stage name.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my then manager, and he said, if you go for Ginger, because that was the period that Terry G was really, really crazy on the streets, so people might think that I'm saying Ginger because of Terry G, you know, so that means the name will sort of like be following him. And if I say Electra, people will always expect that you'll be electrifying on stage, and they will almost always see you coming. So the minute they hear Electra, they expect gang gang.
Puts you in a box.
I said, what is this? I like the name Electra. And then I said when I Googled Electra, I said to see random things that had Electra already attached to it, and I wasn't really excited as such anymore. But then I sat down one day and I asked my uncle, so what does my name mean? Because my full name is Okeyemi. And
oh, I love that name.
Thank you. And he says, Okeyemi pretty much means thanks be to God for, you know,
such a beautiful
everything,
name.
you know.
And that's actually who you are. In all the conversations I've seen you, you've always been like, oh, thank God, thank God.
Yes, so I'm thanking God. and then I asked him what Alade means. Alade means a person is by the throne, a person that has the crown.
Yeah.
And I said, these meanings that my name has, I like them.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to take them as a motto. I think they mean to me more than what Ginger or Electra will ever mean to me. And I feel like if there's so much blessings attached to this name, I might as well be called by those names, by my name, every day. So the blessings keep coming.
I want to dive into something that I think a lot of people, especially in the creative industry space, face. whether they face it early on in their careers or later down the line. But I think it's something that you've been able to, from what I've observed, you've been able to like navigate quite well. It's, you know, creating your team and, you know, finding the right manager, finding the right person to work with. Hello, it's not easy.
At all.
It's a bloody task. It's a bloody task. And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you've successfully done that for yourself in terms of your team, your manager. So walk me through how you got to a point where you recognized just how important having the right team, having the right manager was for you.
Wow. When I won the talent show, there were several record labels that wanted to work with me. And I had actually gone for several meetings, you know, to speak with this record label execs. And I noticed that someone that would keep me waiting in the reception for too long. Tell me, oh, I'm sorry, today has been a long day, come tomorrow. And they did not give me transport to come there. And I've used my last change to journey from the mainland to the island. And I tell him to come tomorrow. Will I walk from Ikeja to Lekki? You know, so like the little things, that automatically, in that situation, that was the end for me with that particular deal. I would go for other meetings and they were talking about how they want to turn me into somebody that I'm not, etc. I eventually decided to work on my current management for two reasons. First of all, they didn't want to work with me. But the thing that they offered to do was consultation. So where the other record labels were giving me contracts and stuff, they would accept to help me read through it and tell me, oh, these are the good things, these are the bad things, avoid this, avoid that, but take your contract and go because we're not really interested. So at least that attention to detail, the fact that they were willing to have my back for that period of time. Who was I? I did not have anything to offer. So if you think that I still deserve the best, despite the fact that you're not even willing to work with me, but you have my time, at least that little fraction of time, I was willing to run with that. That's how I found the first two people that I started off as management with, and then eventually record label. But along the years, as time has gone on, some people have joined the team and some people have, you know, fallen off because life. That's just how it is.
How important do you think it is to find the right team for yourself?
Very important. The first team you need is yourself. You have to be everything to yourself, first of all. You have to be, like if you notice that it seems like I have a lot of conversation with myself, I keep asking myself, okay, how do I look today? And yeah, because nobody's going to tell me how I feel but myself. I'm one that can tell myself what I think. So I do that. So first of all, the first team member you need is you. That is me. And I try to make sure that I am very involved in, you know, all of that. Then the next thing that I did was look for someone who believed in me, even a little more than I believed in myself. A convinced person that was head over heels engulfed in the idea of what I could become. Someone that could spot the diamond in the rough. You know, have you seen gold when it hasn't gone through the fire? It doesn't look attractive. It doesn't shine as much, you know. But someone who would say, there's gold in this. So yes, exactly. So those are the things I look for in a team member. But I believe that most times all you need is one person first. Every other thing will come, will join. One person is enough. The rest is history.
I guess before I even, you know, move the conversation elsewhere or like even try to end the conversation, I need to ask you, for you, at the stage you're at in your career, at the stage you're at in your life, how happy and how fulfilled are you in all that you've managed to do and accomplished?
How happy am I and how fulfilled am I? I would say I am very happy for the successes that have come. One of my biggest successes is that music has blessed me with the ability to take care of my family without even the blink of an eye. It's done. Okay, it's done. Like, that is one of my biggest successes because I don't know where I would be without my family, especially my mom. But in terms of am I fulfilled? Fulfillment is a bottomless cup. Every day there's something new I want. Being fulfilled, if I say yes, I'm fulfilled, it will mark the end.
Yeah.
So I would say that I'm enjoying the journey and I'm happy for everything that has unraveled as, time goes on. But I'm even more excited for the future because I don't know what's lying there.
And I guess the feeling of fulfillment is like it's like a glass that you just continue to fill.
Exactly.
Fulfill.
Fulfill. Yeah.
I think we just came up with a little bit.
Exactly. Exactly.
This has been an amazing conversation and everything that I expected it to be. So thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.